I don't see any questions right now, so I guess we'll give it a couple minutes. And I did want to, mention this before we get started with the Q&A, that obviously a lot of the information that we covered, particularly those questions, can be much more nuanced situations. But since we wanted this to be a back to basics training, we tried to keep it as general as possible. So before we, address any questions, if there are any, I just wanted to preface that with the fact that some of these situations may require us to do a little more research or have us, consult with our legal team here. Because I feel like, especially in the complaint space, there's not always a generally applicable answer. Again, situations can be complicated. So all of that to say, we'll do our best to address your questions. And if we can't, we'll do some more research and get back to you with more guidance. But we also obviously have a wealth of experience on this call with the EO officers across the state. So if there are any questions, I would also welcome, the floor to open up. If anyone has any advice or situations they've seen, we can cover those as well. But of course, if we don't have any questions, feel free to reach out to us at any time. Again, with this being a back to basics training, if there are any areas within this space that you want us to dive deeper into, maybe create a follow-up training on various topics, we're happy to do that. So just send those to us. We'll cover whatever you want us to cover. I don't see any in the chat.
Yeah. All right, so we'll just give it another minute in case, as I mentioned, you can unmute yourself and ask a question. Just as a reminder, we will be sending out a link to the presentation within a week.
I have a question.
Okay, yes, who is this?
Go ahead.
This is Phyllis from Region 1. If you have a provider who has their own EO policies and procedures, and an individual comes in with a complaint, which procedures should we follow first? Our local procedures or that particular contractor's procedures?
Oops, sorry, I was muted there. Ideally, their policies are going to be in line with yours. Are there, just maybe get some more details here, are their timelines different maybe, or how does their process differ from yours if you're thinking of a particular situation?
I'm just thinking of in the cases that we work primarily with the technical colleges, and they have their own, of course, EO policy. So I guess I'm trying to figure out if an applicant comes in and has a complaint with that particular contractor, does the responsibility lie with us, or does it lie with the actual contractor?
My first thought is it's going to depend maybe on who the complaint is brought to. So if maybe they address it with the technical college first, they would obviously follow their process. But if it comes to you, you'd want to follow your own EO process. Mm-hmm. If there's any potential overlap or complication, you'd want to have a further conversation with the technical college.
Okay.
Have any of the other EO officers maybe run into this? Anyone else have any insight about how you've maybe handled a situation like this before? All right, maybe not.
Hello, hi Brittany, this is Phyllis Jackson from Area 7. So yes, we have encountered that situation, and what we did was just what you mentioned. We listened to we got the information from the training provider, and then we also started to communicate with the training provider and the client. And at some point, we also had to bring in our ARC's legal counsel. So it was just a collaboration between the two and trying to get that resolved. So yes, it's important to make sure you look at their policies and making sure that they're doing what they're supposed to do. But in our essence, our policy kind of trumped theirs when it comes down to the programmatic side of it and how we needed to respond.
Thanks, Phyllis.
Okay. All right.
It looks like Amy has a question in the chat. Karen, I'm going to bat this one to you. She said, how do you decide when someone calls with an issue? Do you answer the issue and document or file a complaint form?
It's not really an official complaint until they actually fill out the complaint form and it's signed and it's sent to you. So anyone can call with an issue or concern. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It does. Thank you, Karen.
Okay. Brittany, you want to add anything to that? Because I mean, that's, to me, that's what I see is, I mean.
And I guess, I'll just try to get more deeper into it. So they would need to say, I want to file a complaint.
Correct.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, and to follow up with that, just if it's, I hate giving the answer, sorry, it depends, but you know, maybe they're just calling and they want to air that concern with someone. If it's just a general grievance about maybe how the process works or something, it could be something you just talk through with them. But it could be that at the end of that call, they're not satisfied and you offer them, you know, the option of, you know, does this answer your questions? Does this resolve it for you? Or would you like to file a complaint? So, you know, giving them that option, because Karen's correct. It's not officially a grievance, a complaint until they file the form with you. So, you know, you're going to want to offer them that option and then see what they decide after that.
All right. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. And again,
Okay,
oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, again, you know, sometimes just listening to people, maybe they just are frustrated with something that, you know, sometimes that could really solve the issue if they feel heard and they're like, okay, someone's going to address this. Maybe they have a problem with how they felt they were treated or a miscommunication, and you can clear that up for them. Just listening to them sometimes can resolve it. And they're like, no, I don't want to move any further, and that's fine. But yeah, sometimes they'll want to file an official complaint and it'll just be up to what they want to do next. Sorry, was there another question?
Yes, this is Phyllis again from Region 1. Are we supposed to log complaints, all complaints and grievances, correct? Or just log the grievance?
So I sort of use those terms interchangeably, which maybe is not as clear. Yes, if it's a formal complaint, you need to be logging it and tracking how it's handled and resolved. If someone's just calling with maybe like a general grievance, or I'm trying to think of a different word to make it more clear about what I mean there. You know, maybe they're just unhappy with something and they're calling to complain about it. I don't know that you necessarily need to track all of those if it doesn't reach the level of an official complaint. From like an internal perspective, maybe it's good just to kind of log any feedback you get about services or processes or anything like that. But only when it is like an official filed complaint are you required to be, you know, filing and tracking it.
Okay, thank you.
Brittany, can I speak a little bit?
Sure.
I'm just gonna go back to my EO days. I would get a lot of complaints about programmatic items. I didn't get I don't like my career advisor. She's not moving fast enough and my class starts in 2 weeks. Or I haven't gotten my travel check. So those were the type of questions or concerns or issues that I would get. It wasn't necessarily a grievance.
Okay, all right.
I hope that helps a little bit.
It does, thanks.
Okay,
Thanks, Karen.
you're welcome.
Do we have any other questions? I don't see any in the chat right now.
So this is Phyllis Jackson again. And so I just want to be very clear. Can we get the true definition of a complaint and the true definition of a grievance? Because we all use them interchangeably.
Yeah.
I think it makes for staff who do not work in this EO world on our side to be confused when someone really calls in, so they don't know whether to file it as a grievance or to file it as a complaint. So if we can get the clear definition on that and how to document and justify, not justify, but document and track that information, I think that would help too, if we could do that real quick.
Certainly, yeah,
that's-
I'll put something together. We can send it out when we send out the PowerPoint, and I'll put it in writing so you guys have it.
Right.
So we'll send that out after this.
Thank you.
And that's the reason why I kind of gave my answer when I was talking about contacting legal counsel. I said it was a programmatic situation where services were denied, but this individual filed a complaint stating that I was discriminated against my age. And you got to remember, that's part of the protected class. However, that's the reason why you would loop in legal counsel, because if you have to send that individual a letter stating why their services were denied and why it may not be possibly discrimination against their age. Does that help a little bit for Phyllis?
No, I understand. I was just saying for the
Okay.
others, there are a lot of staff on the call
Okay.
who may not really understand that. And so, because I get that question quite often, and so I just wanted them to hear it from you and be very clear.
Okay.
That was all.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you. I'm sorry.